Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. I'm Ollie. If you enjoy a good Reddit story, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I won't stop you. Right then, let's crack on with our first story of the day. Our first story of the day comes from Show Comprehensive 899 in the Am I the Jerk subreddit. And it says, Am I the jerk for telling my husband I want a divorce in front of his sister after she invaded our privacy again? I, a 35-year-old female, have been married to my husband Mark, a 37-year-old male, for 6 years. We've had ongoing issues with his family's lack of boundaries, particularly his younger sister Amy, a 29-year-old female. Mark's family is very close-knit, which I respect, but their enmeshment often infringes on our life as a couple. 2 years ago, Amy went through a bad breakup and needed a place to stay. Mark offered our guest room without consulting me. I wanted to be supportive, so I agreed to a 2-month time frame, but Amy ended up staying for 8 months. During that time, she constantly overstepped. I would come home to find her wearing my clothes, using my expensive skincare products, and even sleeping in our bed when we were out. She would eat the special treats I bought for myself and monopolize our shared spaces. Mark always made excuses for her behavior. Even after she moved out, Amy would show up unannounced at all hours, letting herself in with the key Mark gave her. I repeatedly asked him to set boundaries, but he accused me of trying to come between him and his family. The final straw came last week. I came home from a stressful day at work, looking forward to a relaxing bath in our master bathroom. I walked into our bedroom to find Amy napping in our bed again. She had gone through my closet and was wearing my silk robe. I lost it. I woke her up and told her she needed to leave immediately. Mark came in and started defending her, saying she just needed a place to crash. In that moment, something in me broke. I turned to Mark and said, I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce. Amy looked shocked. Mark started arguing with me, but I held firm. I told him I was done having my privacy invaded and my needs dismissed. I said I would be filing for divorce first thing Monday morning, and I wanted Amy to hand over her key and leave for good. I feel awful for springing that on Mark in the heat of the moment, but I hit a breaking point. He's blown off my concerns for years, and seeing Amy in our bed again, in my clothes, I just couldn't take it anymore. So tell me, am I the jerk for announcing I want a divorce in front of my sister-in-law after she violated my boundaries one too many times?
Someone says, not the jerk. It sounds like there was more than 2 people in your marriage. Well done for laying down your boundaries so firmly. A Reddit user says, you're not the jerk. Mark and Amy are both selfish a-holes who took advantage of you and believed that they could just ignore and bully you into accepting their behavior. Mark never truly loved or respected you because if he did, then he would have never let Amy get away with what she did. Update me.
Candid Jellyfish 240 says, you're not the jerk at all, but I have to ask if I'm insane for thinking Mark's family seems a bit strange.
I love my family, but when I see behavior like grown siblings sleeping in each other's bed or wearing the spouse's robe, it's unsettling. It's all super creepy to me. Not to mention, I'd have tolerated Amy for all of 5 seconds. I don't have sisters, daughters, or nieces. No one touches my things because they're mine. The behavior seems bizarre, considering Amy obviously lives elsewhere now, and there is a guest room, so why sleep in her brother's bed? The family gives off really icky vibes, like the Home episode of X-Files.
Sierra 38. Grandma says, not the jerk. Good for you. It's about time you stood up for yourself and put an end to that family's nasty, incestuous, and meshed relationship in your life. It's absolutely disgusting for siblings to sleep in the bed you are intimate in. So gross. I hope you get the house in the divorce as well as enough of the assets to cover the pain and suffering he and his unpleasant sister have caused you.
Moy5 says, not the jerk. Clearly, Amy must be a better partner for him. Hopefully, she feels partially responsible for where your relationship is now. The major issue here is that you married a man whom you knew was deeply enmeshed with his family. That was a red flag before the wedding.
Someone says, haha, not the jerk. You know, if she hadn't been there, she'd have been his first phone call. The enmeshment is strong with these two. Glad you're getting away from it. Edited spelling error.
Our next story comes from Suspiciously Blonde in the AITAH subreddit, and it says, Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I won't let him damage my daughter the way he damaged me and kicking him out? These past months and an argument during Christmas, oh, such peaceful days, have kind of split my family, and I'm curious whether I was the a-hole. So here goes. I, a 36-year-old female, am a single mum to Eve, a 6-year-old female. She was unplanned, as I was told I couldn't have children, and her dad and I have been separated since she was 2, but we co-parent, okay-ish. She's with me almost full-time, except for one night every 2 weeks. My father, who is 69 and male, is single. He and my mum divorced a little over 10 years ago. He and I have always had a rocky relationship. For as long as I can remember, my younger sister has been the wonder child, and I was that other daughter. His nickname for me as a child was Biggie, and he would always comment on my weight. This made me have some serious eating issues during puberty, and to this day, I have trouble with eating. Also, I was never fat, and he has been morbidly obese for as long as I can remember. Besides this, my father has always had a weird jealousy when it came to me getting attention. Every single year on my birthday, he would be sick, causing me to have to cancel everything and be miserable. Especially as a child, this made me so sad because I couldn't understand why he did this. He missed my graduation, forgot to pick me up from the airport after a holiday. The list goes on. All these things didn't happen to my sister. Moreover, I had to get a job at 14 to pay for anything fun I wanted to do. This is absolutely fine, and I am convinced it's normal for teens to learn about making and spending money. But at the same time, my sister got spending money from him and only got a job at 19 because she wanted to travel. My mum was very different and definitely did treat my sister and me the same, but she was always the main breadwinner and was abroad for her work the majority of the time, so my father pretty much got to do what he wanted. Whenever I would tell my mum about things he did or said to me, my father would lie and say that I was talking crap. This was one of the reasons they got a divorce though, as my mum was able to see through more and more of his lies. When I was 20, I got my college degree, and in the same month, I moved abroad. I lived there for about 2 years, and during those years, I did stay in close contact with my mum and sister, and they visited me there, but I never spoke to my father. This no contact was fine with me, and I don't really think he cared either. When I moved back to my home country and got my own place, about 15 minutes from where he lived, he never visited either, and I pretty much only spoke to him at family gatherings. In 2014, my parents divorced. Suddenly, my dad tried to visit me all the time, sitting on my couch, crying about how my mum suddenly left him, and it was unfair because he did nothing wrong and never saw it coming. My sister and I caught him in numerous lies during those times, trying to make my mum look bad. But when we called him out, he would just deny having said anything. During his divorce, I was going through some pretty big health issues, including a scary few days where doctors were concerned it could be cancer. Every time my father would visit and I would try to tell him about my life, he wouldn't listen and would just suddenly start talking about how sad he was and completely ignore my stories. After a few months of this, I cut him off for a while again. In 2019, my daughter was born. Besides always complaining about how I picked the wrong dad for my kid, he seemed to be an okay grandfather. He did refuse to hold her for the first year and a half, but I blame this on him being scared he might hurt her. Unfortunately, over the past year, I have seen my father resort to the same behavior he had when I was young. On Eve's birthday, he did visit, but said he had horrible back and leg pain and made everybody jump through hoops to help him. He talked through us singing for her and her blowing out her candles, stealing her attention. He also forgot to buy her a present. I don't know why, but I saw that coming, so I already bought a present he could give her, but the hurt was there. He also started being more negative towards her. For example, when she would proudly tell him about something she learned in school, he would answer things like, "And how many kids in your class could already do that?" I became more cautious as to not leave her alone with him. During Christmas came the straw that finally broke the camel's back. We were sitting down having dinner, and when Eve wanted to help herself to another portion of, I don't even know what, he literally put his hand on her arm and said, "Are you sure you should eat more? You're going to look like Peppa Pig." The whole table went silent for a minute, and then I absolutely lost it. I told him to get out of my house, that I wouldn't let him damage Eve the way he did with me, and that he can forget about visiting again until he can explain to me what he thinks he did wrong and apologize to both Eve and me. My father tried to claim he didn't say anything, but I wasn't having it and kicked him out. Now my sister and brother-in-law are saying I went too far and was too harsh.
but I still feel like I was in the right. My sister says he doesn't do it on purpose, but I honestly don't care whether he does or doesn't. I just want to protect Eve. So, am I the a-hole?
Candid Dimension 670 says, "Hell no, you are absolutely not the a-hole." Original poster? I would have done the same too. I've struggled horribly from eating disorders in the past, and the effect they have on not only your mental state, but your physical body is no joke. It can be so detrimental. You remove the opportunity for unhealthy thought patterns to emerge around your daughter, and I applaud you for that. In terms of your dad and his divorce, he either 1. Knows he messed up big time and is trying to make you overlook his contradictions and faults, which is manipulative, or 2. Is so far gone in his head that he cannot recognize himself and his thought processes as manipulative. I actually don't know which option is worse. It seems like your father has a lot to work on, and it seems like he could very much benefit from that in a professional setting, like therapy or counseling. Maybe your sister and brother-in-law thought you screaming at him was unwarranted. Whilst I don't think it was the best thing to do, I think it's completely normal and human to do that. You felt like the least favorite child. That's tough. Is that something worth talking to your mum or sister about? But yeah, you are not the a-hole. It seems like your dad doesn't care for boundaries and he has a lot of self-reflection to do.
OP responds, "Yeah, I agree that screaming at him might not have been the best answer, but my emotions got the best of me for a bit. I have definitely always been the least favorite, and even though I have kind of gotten over that, seeing it happen to my daughter brought back some big feelings. My sister doesn't really see it that way, but my mom does admit my father has always treated us differently. I have spoken to him before about getting therapy. I try to focus on how it would help him get over the divorce and be happier, but he blatantly refuses and says psychologists are for crazy idiots. I do think it is behavior he could help prevent though, because when it came to his professional work life, he never let emotions take over and always knew exactly what to say to which people. It's just towards me and now Eve, and in the past my mom, that he is a complete a-hole."
Someone says, "No, you weren't harsh enough if you ask me. Definitely not the a-hole." The last story comes from Token Yeti 658 in the Am I Overreacting subreddit, and it says, "Am I overreacting for refusing to go on a vacation with my in-laws that was booked without our knowledge? My mother-in-law is extremely family-oriented and lives alone after being widowed about 10 years ago. I'm married to her eldest son, and we have a baby. Her other son is also married with a toddler. Before we all had kids, she used to book family vacations for all of us, using a timeshare system she has, without asking us if we wanted to go, or even checking if the dates worked for us. This would often involve driving over 3 hours to a town that doesn't have anything we want to see or do. She's also done this with theatre tickets, sports tickets, among other things. These events are primarily in her city, which is 5 hours away from us. We make the drive at least every 2 to 3 months and stay with her at her house for several days each time. So it's not like this is the only way she'll see us. We mentioned multiple times, subtly, that she needs to check with us before booking things. I thought she got the memo until this Christmas, when she gifted us all a week-long vacation together in a ski town in May to celebrate a significant work anniversary for her. It's a 6-hour drive for us, but closer for her and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. I simply don't want to go. She said she chose that date specifically because it's before I return to work, following my maternity leave. But being on maternity leave doesn't necessarily mean I'm available, and it definitely doesn't mean I want to incur the expense of food, gas, and so on. If she had asked us before booking it and presented it as something she wanted to do to celebrate this milestone for her career, I would have sucked it up, since I understand family time is very important to her, and she doesn't have a spouse to celebrate this work anniversary with. However, I find the way she went about it infantilizing and ultimately kind of manipulative. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law are also not thrilled. Neither of them are even certain they can get the time off work, but my husband and brother-in-law seem determined to try to make it work without acknowledging the way she did it is not okay. I told my husband we can either have a talk with her to tell her in no uncertain terms that she needs to stop spending money and making reservations without checking with us first, or I will not be going on this vacation. And neither will her exclusively breastfed grandchild. New Prairie Girl says, Nor, stop being subtle. She can't understand that. Call her out and tell her, I wish you would have discussed this with us. I have plans during that time and will not be able to attend. Just say it and stick to it. Your husband needs to correct this going forward. There is no way I would want to spend money on a trip going somewhere that doesn't interest me. Her children can go on this trip with her to celebrate. K23. K23 points out 1. Just don't go. 2. Tell her you already have other plans.